If you work for the Catholic Church and want to avoid burnout, overcome parish dysfunctions, and put more souls in the pews, we're here to help. I'm Ty Hua, here with my co-host John Kahns, and this is the Catholic Ministry Professionals Podcast, your favorite leadership development podcast for Catholic churches. Each week, you can expect engaging discussions, expert interviews, and actionable advice to help you move Jesus' mission forward in your parish. Today, we're going to build a better bulletin. John, how are you?
I'm on top of the world. Today's a good day. It was sweater weather again today, so that puts me in the happies.
Makes one of us.
You could still golf in the cold. Just put some gloves on. Your clubs don't get too chilly.
Yeah. No, it's not so much golfing in the cold that brings me down. It's the thought that golf season's coming to an end. Because I've got the setup for golfing in cold weather. If it stays this way for the rest of the year and then it warms up, by next year, that's fine. But I know what happens. Everybody knows what happens here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's going to snow, and that brings an end to outside golf. So that's what makes me sad. It's not the cold weather, dude. I've got a cart cover. I've got a Mr. Buddy heater. I stay toasty out there.
So bougie.
You don't worry about Ty on the golf course.
Why don't just get some of those orange glowy balls or something, and then you can play in the snow.
That's not how that works.
Do they make winterized tires for golf carts?
I'm sure they do, but the golf course superintendents don't allow it.
No, fair enough. Plus, golfing in an inch of snow, maybe 24 inches is a little different. Yeah. Well, I want to talk about bulletins today. Should we come up? Do we need to do more like better segues? That's something I thought of the other day when I was listening, because I just jump into the. No segues?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so speaking of no segues, I want to talk about building a better bulletin. And the main reason for this is that I think it becomes a central thing. It kind of reveals where our focus is in ministry. And so much, I think we can get lost. We can lose this idea that in ministry and in evangelization, your effectivity is exponentially increased when your focus is on not just the project of like changing souls, converting souls, but on the process of building relationships that lead people to Christ. Like we lose this part of this necessity for knowing the other and building better relationships, so that when we call people to Christ, their souls have been primed for it. They've been cultivated, right? That rich soil has been cultivated already. So I think bulletins are one of these areas where, and I have not been to the Catholic parish where I have seen a bulletin that I said, wow, they are doing that great. and it's only because I think it's something that takes not an insignificant effort on behalf of our parish staffs, our teams. They put time into these things. They work hard on them. And my desire is to see them be more fruitful, to see the bulletin work harder as a tool for our Catholic ministry professionals working on the front lines. That's my hope. And what kind of spurred this is a long time ago, I stopped, I did kind of a tour. I was in Sioux Falls. I did a tour of the Protestant churches, the non-denominational churches, just to see some of the ways that they were building, because there are churches, and I think this would blow some of our Catholic churches' minds, but my in-laws go to a church that is looking at a $24 million building plan. Like they have so many people trying to be a part of what they are doing that they need to expand. And so they're fundraising for $24 million to be able to expand their church. And I just heard that and I was like, holy Moses, that's fantastic. Like that's good news. I'm glad there is a church that's growing. and so I just thought that was so cool, because we can often feel, we look at our community, we look at our nation, and we can be so beaten down because there's a lot of darkness out there. And yet, even all the darkness in the world can't extinguish the light of a single candle, right? So we have to realize that Christ is at work, and everything we can do to break down barriers so that we can build the kingdom is going to be a good thing, and something that's going to give you a lot of bang for your buck, a lot of return on your time spent, is your parish bulletin. Because for your parishioners, it's your one piece of engagement that maybe they're going to pick up in any given week. For anybody new that comes into your parish, that might be the one thing that you could potentially hand them to build a connection, because the pastor's busy getting ready for Mass beforehand, and your pastor's busy shaking hands and hearing "Great homily, Father" on the way out. And so there's very few opportunities for them to actually connect with and engage with your parish in the context of a given weekend. And yet, we all know that that is the one time you're most likely to engage people. And so everything for that weekend should be on point. And so that's why we are looking this week at building a better bulletin. How's that sound, Ty?
I don't know if it's possible, but it sounds great.
Well, here's the thing, is it may or may not be easy, but it is going to be simple. The things we're going to talk about today will be really simple. And so when I stopped out, one of the things I noticed is that when I was doing that tour of all the non-denominational churches to see the ways they were engaging people, the thing that really struck me is that they all had some form of a connect card. So this is an example right here, and it's Central Church. You guys are doing great in Sioux Falls. You're doing some really great things. But it's just a front and back. It's like a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, right? And it's really good. But some of the things that are on there that I think would be really useful for any church that wants to engage people, perhaps open up a conversation that can lead to an ongoing relationship between you and a guest or a person in your church, is to consider how you might make that a part. So when we look at building a better bulletin, that we got to get this idea out of our heads that the bulletin is the newsletter to the parish, right? I think we got to move beyond that if we want to engage people more. So many times it's just all those things that are going on that weekend, right? And if all it is telling you what's going on that weekend, you've already missed your opportunity to tell people about something new, to invite people into something else, right? So my standard parish bulletin, they list all the ministers, like anybody who's a part of the Mass for that weekend. I think it's maybe a last chance opportunity, or they list them for the next weekend. So then it's like your last reminder, which takes up, half of our bulletin, or I should say a quarter, because it's front and back. It takes a quarter of our bulletin just to remind people, hey, you're serving. These are mostly people who aren't reading the bulletin who are serving. So, those could be emails. The other things they'll put in is mass intentions. I know people love to see those, but there's probably other ways to communicate those, or you can do that as a part of your announcements before Mass that you're going to do anyway, or after at the end of Mass. But again, if all we're doing is just telling people about what is going on right now, we're missing an opportunity to open up a conversation, to build a better relationship. And so I want to look at some of the framework, some of the pieces that we can include in there, and maybe even the stuff that we do have in there, how we can just make it better. So the first one that I think is really important is to have some form of vision or mission statement that invites people into the adventure of the parish. This is something that, to me, if I'm new in town and an example of a bigger town like Sioux Falls, a bigger city that's got 8 parishes to choose from that are all 10 minutes away from each other, I might go to the parish that engages me in the community the most. And I would personally say, that even in the rural area where I am now, I would go 20 minutes out of my way to be in a healthier community that's going to help me raise my kids to be in love with their Catholic faith, to fall in love with Jesus in the sacraments. I would go out of my way to do that. And so the parish that can kind of put their best foot forward and say, hey, this is who we are, this is what we are inviting you into, that's gonna be that first connection that people say, because they might look at the bulletin and they might see, if all they see is block text and paragraphs, they're gonna barely breeze over it. At least people in my generation and younger, that's what they're gonna do. All right. So what you want is some big, bold vision statement that invites them into a venture. And I'm not going to overly articulate how that needs to be done, but to say, hey, we're a warm, welcoming community of disciples is pretty benign, honestly. It's not, for me, it's not something that engages my heart. But if it's saying, hey, we believe in equipping you to bring Jesus into your home and into your community, or we believe in equipping you to bring Jesus into your workplace. Like something like that says, hey, you are here, you belong, and now you are sent. All right? Something that invites them into adventure. And I would say if you do that, that is going to be that first piece that's going to make people go, oh, maybe I should look a little closer here. And that's that invitation in. So I think that vision statement too is super important, because people will follow a leader if they know where they're going and why. So again, you want to paint that picture of, this is where we're going. This is why we're going there. And that's kind of our calling card for people that says, hey, again, come and join us. Be a part of the thing that God is doing here. Amen?
Amen.
I love that. So that next piece, and again, this was the piece that was really prevalent in the non-denominational churches that I think is just genius, is to have some form of communication card or connect card, something that gives them permission to get in touch with you and makes it super simple to do so. So some of the pieces you want to be a part of that connect card is for them to be able to identify what their relation is to the parish, right? You want to know if someone's getting in touch with you. Are they a first-time visitor? Are they a returning guest? Are they a regular parishioner? Like, what's their relationship to the parish? Because that in itself is going to frame how you follow up with them. It's going to frame how quickly maybe you get back to them. But then also, like, the next piece is just, why are they turning in the card? Like, why are they giving you this connect card? Why are they tearing off this half of the bulletin and putting it in the box so that Father can get back to them? Or if it's an insert into your normal bulletin, like, why are they filling that out? And it could be that they've updated their info. How many times are we sending out emails to people just to hear them say 6 months later, oh, I never got this, I changed my email, right? Or maybe they're moving across town and they're not getting their little donation cards in the mail anymore, and so they need you to know that they changed that, or they got a new email, whatever it might be, right? You want to give them opportunity to say, hey, I'm updating my info, and give them space to put that new info in. Maybe they're looking for information on the sacraments, or they're looking for a Bible study or some sort of a fellowship group through the parish. Are they interested in volunteering? What are they interested in volunteering for? And then just simply, do you want to talk to the pastor or a member of our staff, a member of our team, about a personal issue or something that might be going on in your life? I think if you do those pieces, you collect kind of an understanding of what their relationship is to the parish already, and then what they're looking for. That gives you a launching place to have a real conversation with somebody, to be able, and if they're turning it into you, right? This is a little a business 101. If you give someone your business card, you're on their time if they get back to you. But if you ask for their business card, now you have a way to get in touch with them. So as the parish, position yourself to say, hey, if you need someone, hand us your card. Let us know what it is you need, and we'll get back to you. It puts that conversation in your hands. So the next step you have control over. You have some ability to say, I'm going to take the next step for you. And that is a good place to position yourself when you're looking to build relationships and get to know your parishioners. The next little piece that is useful in bulletins and can be is your events or your ministries that people can get in touch with. Now, I would say the caveat to that is we often put way too much information in there. If the bulletin, if you want them to know what events are going on, keep it simple, because again, block text, where people in my generation, I have the hardest time processing or even getting the energy to decide to process full paragraphs for 8 or 9 different things that you want me to know. Bullet points, keep it simple. At the most, if you're gonna do it, really highlight or bold that ministry, and then 1-2 sentences tops about what it is you need me to know this week in relationship to this. Like, really, simplification is your friend when you are looking at engagement. And ultimately, there should be some call to action within that too. If there's events, or maybe not even all of the events, like these are all the things in the meetings that are happening this week, this is the one thing our parish is doing this month, and we want you to know. Please email admin@yourchurch.com and let us know if you're going to be there, because we're going to order food for you, right? Make it very specific, a specific call to action within that section, so that it's not just a list of things, but an invitation to participate with a clear next step so that you know they're coming. All right. The next section in that framework, or what you might want in the bulletin, is parish contact info. Now, I'll be the first to say, I don't know how many parishioners actually say, oh, I need to find Father's email. Let me look at the bulletin. Or I need to find our faith formation coordinator's email. Let me look at the bulletin. I think most people go to the website and look those things up. The other side is, this is your contact card. You maybe don't need to list all of them on there. What you need are instructions for getting in contact, which might be, hey, put this in the drop box by the parish office, or drop this in the collection basket as it goes around the church, right? You're making it really simple for them to get in touch with you so that you can reach out to them. Again, making it really simple. And I think sometimes listing out all those emails isn't the simplest, right? Give them one avenue. The other side is, maybe making it easier by making a digital version of your Connect card, which is just going to be a Google form. If you don't know how to make that, Google it, right? But if you have that digital version, you can put a little QR code or a link on there that's yourparish.com/connect. And so they can literally pull it right up on their phone right there while they're ignoring the homily. And they can just put their info in and say, hey, I would like to talk about how bad the homily is. and they can send it right off then. Or maybe, Ethel stole my seat this weekend and I'd really like to have someone talk to her about how that's my family's seat. So you can have that conversation. Make it easy for people to connect with you. That's what this bulletin should be about, is building the relationship. And then I think some kind of final little things, attendance and stewardship, if you're going to put those numbers up. One, if it's attendance, maybe you want to put like last week and this week, or last month versus this month. So you can see like, hey, we're growing. This is great. Let's celebrate that. Or, hey, we're shrinking. Maybe we should talk about that. Stewardship. If you're in the red, then you definitely want to let people know, hey, we're in the red. And we need to start intentionally asking you for more money. And then you want to make it easy. Again, if you're going to put those things in there, make it easy for people to give to you. So have a QR code to some online giving option, or a text to give option, or just like, hey, you can drop your checks off anytime at the drop box outside the parish office, whatever it might be. Give them a place, a location, a way to give right then, right there, really easy. And then finally, a lot of parishes like to do some kind of teaching from the priest. And I think sometimes, like, they're already giving the homily. So to do another 2 to 3 paragraphs in the bulletin that's the same info as in the homily is redundant and not necessarily helpful. However, what you could do is kind of prick their conscience or irk them a little bit by putting a question in that references the homily. So if the pastor is going to spend some time thinking about his homily, maybe he's got some bullet points that he wants them to know. And so he's just going to leave a blank space for them to fill in to see if they're paying attention, right? And that might be a way to engage them in a deeper level in the message that your pastor is working on, praying over, that he has discerned from God that his parishioners need to receive. And that might just kind of make them go, oh, I did not pay enough attention. I need to do a better job next week. Or it might make them go, oh, that makes me think about this. Maybe I should fill out the Connect card and let Father know that. Whatever it might be, that there are ways that you can do that exact same idea, but make it more impactful for the individuals. And I think that's kind of the wrap up. That would be the handful of things that I would transform within my bulletin, adding a vision statement, having a very clear way to connect with a card that's built into the bulletin, and then giving them the opportunity to say who they are in relation, why they're turning it in, and then simplifying your events, your parish contact info, adding specific ways to give, making it easy for people to give through attendance and stewardship data. And then, again, that little teaching from the priest, beefing that up. If you do that, your bulletin is going to transform the way you interact with people. It's going to create stronger avenues for connection and more actionable ways for you to build relationships with your parishioners. Is there anything I missed there, Ty, that you think?
No, not anything that you missed, but you'd said something that struck a nerve with me. Maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way. I don't know. But this central church that you'd mentioned, they're growing at a rate where they need to raise $24 million to build a new church. Immediately, what goes through my mind is how many of them are Catholic? How many Catholics that are searching for something are going away from the parish to these non-denominational churches because they're seeking something? And I think it's community. We go through the motions of going to mass, and it could just be, man, I want to get to mass. I want it to be done so I can have that cup of coffee, because I can't have coffee before mass. The bulletin should be the first, maybe not even the first, but it should be a way to connect our parish members to the actual parish. Understanding why we go to mass, understanding that it's not just an hour event that we go to every single week, hopefully every single week, and holy days of obligation. But there's a point where it's got to be more than just going to mass. It's got to be understanding that the mass sets us off for a great week. The mass is where we go to meet God incarnate, God that is in the flesh, meaning in the Eucharist. We have to be better at communicating and not driving away our parishioners to the non-denominational churches that make them feel some type of way, that make them feel like they belong somewhere. we got to make them feel belonged in the parish. We got to make them feel like they are being fed, right? And not just with the snacks and the heavily dyed foods, but we got to give them Jesus's flesh. Like we have to teach them. And one analogy I want to give you before I start going off really on a tangent, and if we had the little note that says Ty's soapbox, John, you know King Turkey Days in Worthington. I'm a Worthington guy. So King Turkey Days in Worthington, every year they've got this festival. It's our town days, call it what you will. But King Turkey Day for me is kind of the mark of the end of summer going into fall. Thank you. And one of the things that we do during that festival is a 5K or a 10K race. I don't know. I don't run in it, but I know it's there. My wife's family actually, some of them run in it, but for the most part, we are en route of where they run and we're cheering them on. And this year, as they go by, we're cheering, we're clapping, good job, keep it up. Well, one lady's running by and she, as most 5Ks and 10Ks, they've got the number on their chest or on their shorts or whatever, signifying that, they're part of this 5K. And this lady's running by, she's got a hoodie on. It's, pulled tight. So you can just see her face like this. And we're cheering. She's like, no, I'm not running in the 5K. Weird. Okay. Like it was just her normal everyday run. But it's like, you could have been a part of something really fun and cool, but you decided not to. Or is it that nobody told you about it, that you're not involved? So I use that analogy to shed light on the parishioners that show up to Mass that have no freaking idea that this is the Lamb's Supper. This is the culmination of our faith. But yet you're coming to Mass looking for something to make you feel some type of way, but this should be it. This should be the reason why you're here. This is why you live your life throughout the week, so that you can come to Mass and do this. But yet here we are losing members to other denominations that, have really great praise and worship. I shouldn't even say worship, praise bands, but they don't have the worship. They've got really good Bible studies, but they don't have the Eucharist. They've got really good whatever, but they don't have the fullness of the faith. So we got to do a better job. And maybe it starts with the bulletin. Maybe that's the second step, third step. I don't know. But holy cats, we need to do better, because it hurts my heart. It hurts my soul that I know, and I don't have the numbers on it, but these other non-denominational churches are growing. It's not just because they're having kids and their normal members are increasing the fold. No, it's our brothers and sisters in the faith, the Catholic faith, the true faith, that's leaving. And then, the one thing my priest or the priest said, Father Christopher Cowles, I know you know him, there's a vocations dilemma. One, we're not having as many kids per family. And two, those kids just aren't being led in the faith as they should, or at least allowed to believe that they could become priests. So anyways, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but we have to do better with the bulletin. We really do.
Yeah. And it really is. It's reframing. It's thinking about that relationship. It's how you approach people. It's how you invite them in. You said something earlier when you first started was, we've got people who are searching for something. When we went around to these different churches, one of the churches we went to, there was a man who met us in the front. Like we walked in and he looked at us. He goes, "You look like you're searching for something." Mm-hmm. Like, what a great opening line. Like, just even thinking about how you approach people, not what do you want? Not even saying like, "Hey, are you looking for sacraments? Are you looking for what is this?" It's, what are you searching for? And how can I help you find it? And we all know that deepest longing is Christ. And we also know that we have the fullness of that. So how do we invite people into that? And some of that first touch for people can be that bulletin. Now, the other thing I would say is that if you are on fire, like Tyre's words set you on fire, and you're like, yes, I want to do better, I want to do more, send us an email to catholicminpros@gmail.com. And I would love to talk to you about our parish events, our parish missions, our team trainings, and ways that we can serve you and help you to build more thriving ministries. We would love to do that. So, leading from this bulletin conversation, there's just a few back-end thoughts that I think are worth applying here. And the first is for all of this, for your bulletin, for the ways you connect with people, make it easy. Make it easy. Lower barriers to entry for people. Don't make it harder. When you list all the emails, that makes it harder for people versus here's the card, fill this out and hand it to somebody. Fill it out and put it in the collection basket as it goes past you, right? Make it simple. Make it easy. Same with giving. You got to make it easy. You got to make it easy. You have your QR codes up with a giving box around every corner so that as somebody's walking in, they see it and they go, oh yeah, I need to do that. And then the next time they come in, they know where all 15 collection boxes are. Then the follow-up, make the follow-up simple, right? You got to follow up. If you're going to invite people to reach out to you, you have to follow up with them. It's just rude. It's just rude to ignore somebody. That is just a basic truth. It's something I'm teaching my 4 and 5-year-old right now. It's rude to ignore people. And so make it simple for yourself by establishing a routine that you can follow up on. And so you got to know who's collecting these. Someone needs to be in charge of collecting and processing all of those connection cards. All of those that come into your office, somebody needs to be in charge of those. It can be your front office admin. I think that's really simple, really easy, because they're kind of that natural gateway anyways for people. So their job is to get the card from that person. If they realize like, hey, I don't have enough information to be able to pass this on to the right person, then the next conversation is to call them and say, hey, I've got your Connect card. I'd love to connect you. Just tell me a little bit more and I'll put you through to that person, right? And I'll give them your info. I will make sure they call you. I will make sure they email you, right? Put this person in charge of that, because what happens so often is they send it on and they forget about it. But no, this needs to be something that they are tracking, saying, hey, I got these 10 Connect cards this week. At the next meeting, they're saying, hey, I got these Connect cards. Did you follow up? Yes or no? All right. So that first thing is they're collecting it. They're assessing it. Who needs it? They're following up. They're following up saying, you didn't do this. You dropped the ball. You made me look like an idiot. I'm frustrated. Right? They need to call you out on that. So whoever then, I think it's worth saying then, it's worth having a rule. If you get a Connect card, right, your front office admin hands you this Connect card, this person's interested in the sacraments, you follow up within 24, maybe 48 hours. You got to kind of suss that out at yourselves. Some things are more essential, right? Somebody comes in and says, I've got a personal issue I need to talk about. Maybe that's higher priority. That gets pushed to the top. So there's got to be a little bit of play in here, but you're going to follow up, and maybe it's, hey, I don't have time for the full conversation, but they're following up saying, hey, can we put a date on the calendar to talk? And that's the follow-up, right? It's not the fix, it's the follow-up. So again, who's collecting and processing, what's the process and the timeline for following up, so that at the next meeting they know who to call out and tell them to do better.
I got a tip for the person that does the collecting of the cards, especially if you're a parish that has a wooden box that you put the card in. Number one, get away from the wooden box because you can't see if there's a card in there. How do I know that? It happened to me. When I married my wife, we joined the local parish here, and we didn't get a call. We didn't get anything. So I reached out. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, are we registered? Like, I was a little surprised because I haven't received a call. Oh yeah, we don't get a whole lot of members registering, so it's not a priority for us. And I mean, it just blew my mind. Yeah, I'll go out there and I'll look at it, and then you should get an email from us. It's like, what a welcome committee, So number one, go away from the wooden boxes, get the clear ones, so that as you're walking by, because literally the box is right outside of the office. As you're walking by, you can say, oh, I see a card in there. I should empty it out. But if you're the person that does the follow-up, or at least the person that collects it, put a repeating reminder in your calendar so that every Monday, right, because over the weekend, masses happen, and hopefully we get more souls that are wanting to register as members. It reminds you to go pick out the cards on Monday. So after the weekend masses, that Monday morning, after your morning meetings or whatever you do, or before you start your day, go collect them. That would be a really, really good routine to get into.
Amen. Amen. Absolutely. I think with that, we can move on to the devil's advocate. Dun dun.
John, you're talking about a newsletter and making it look good and organizing it and doing all these different things. Like, no one on our team is good at doing this. We don't have a graphic designer. We don't have anybody that's good at graphic design. What say you?
I'd say that's great. Keep it simple. It doesn't need to be graphic designed. Make it good, make it good. Make the information good. Yes, there's some different like design stuff that you can do. I think you can Google that, but I would just Google templates for Connect cards and keep it simple. You can literally make it a Word document, but yeah, just be bold. Dare to do something better here. Don't let fear or any little voices chirping in your ear. Don't let Satan distract you from this attempt to build better relationships in your parish. Don't let him do that. That's the devil talking. Find a way. Make a fix. That's what leaders do. They see a problem, they fix it. And so, yeah, maybe make it a Google Doc or make it a Google form. And if you don't know how to do that, you can YouTube it. You need to learn something. And I would even say, right, the next step further is like, maybe they are on board, maybe somebody can do it, but actually maybe nobody wants to do it, right? Maybe they could do it, but nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to make it better. In that case, what can you change about your area of the bulletin so that it builds better relationships for your ministry? And I would say that that's the next caveat. That's the next step is, maybe that's the bonus devil's advocate is that nobody else wants to do it or cares anyway. Okay, how can you take these ideas and apply them to how you build and foster relationships within your specific ministry, within your purview?
Got a question?
Yes, sir.
Typically in a parish staff, who does the bulletin arrangement? Is there one specific job title that handles that?
I would say a lot of times the front office person, your administrative staff, collate the information and input it into whatever. A lot of them actually know how to use Microsoft Publisher or something like that was created a long time ago. That's what they learned on, and that would be how they build the bulletins. I would say typically it's a front office staff. The other thing that was really popular, I don't know if it's as much of a thing anymore, but there are companies that will do it for you, and they'll design it and put all the information into it, at least for you. And they do that, though their fee is by selling ads, basically. So that's when you see the bulletins that have ads for all the businesses. It's because they've got a third party that is taking all their information and building the bulletin for them.
Okay. The reason I ask is that, in so many times in the secular world where you're tasked to do something and you don't have the skill set to do it, what do? One of two things.
Contract it, hire it out.
Okay, maybe three things. That's one of them.
Okay.
But they either train you.
I don't know, Ty. Teach me.
They train you. Exactly. They figure a way to teach the person that's in charge. How many parishes actually train for that? Like, hey, here's a Coursera or a online course that you could take to learn all about either not graphic design, but putting together a bulletin or whatever, like some marketing skill set, or replace them, right? Maybe not because they don't know how to do it, but there are other shortcomings that, hey, it just doesn't work out here, or they leave, they retire, and we got to replace them. The fact of the matter is we got to update our job description. We have to improve upon the skill set that's needed for that role. Well, if our bulletins are just abysmal, the sense that it's not really doing what it should be doing, it's not affecting the parish members, well, we got to change that. So we either got to get them training to be better, or we got to increase or bump up that standard of what it means to be that office person. So again, I'm off my soapbox.
Well, I think I just lost Ty here. Oh, you're freezing for me, dude.
Oh,
now we're back. Sorry, I was just saying, I think we're losing Ty here. And then I heard your voice, and then it froze again.
You were freezing on my end too, so I don't know if it was your stuff or my stuff. Anyways, it's the devil trying to mess with us again. Anyways, you got any actionable advice for us?
I do. Yeah, of course, we never want to leave you without something that you can take action on starting today. And so what I want to recommend for you is that today you open a Google Doc and you start working on your bulletin. Start thinking about what should this look like? What information do I need to collect? And once you have all those pieces on one sheet, you can start thinking about, okay, how should it look? Should I move these over here? Do I want 2 columns? Do you start thinking about, maybe it should be a trifold brochure and we're going to put it landscape. But the first step is to start putting those ideas on paper so that you can make an attractive call to action. You can make an attractive invitation into the adventure that is the parish, with clear ways for them to engage with you and a simple way for them to let you know that they would like you to reach out to them. And that's your actionable step for today.
Amen, amen.
And with that, I want to thank you for listening to the Catholic Ministry Professionals podcast. We really want to see the culture of our country being transformed, being led by the Catholic Church in our lifetime. And that's going to happen if we can bring a better culture of work to the church. So if you're in ministry and you've been in their ministry for a few years and you feel like those efforts are being frustrated, I want you to send an email to catholicminpros@gmail.com. We'd love to talk with you about how a parish training or a parish event can help you to transform your church through your work. And finally, don't forget to text this episode to a priest or a friend that can benefit from it.
That, we'll see you in the vineyard.
I'm trying to find it.
Can't hear it.
There it is.